Good evening and welcome for episode 7 of the Unhinged Dads podcast. I am Brian De Almeida. With me is my regular co-host, Dave Pasco.
Hello,
Our
Brian.
third co-host, Dr. Nick, was hopefully going to be present tonight, but last I talked to him, he is on, I think now is day 5 of being stuck in India due to airspace closures nearby.
Oh, good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to arrive home on Sunday night or Monday morning. And last I heard from him, they had not yet secured a flight that would let them bring a toddler on.
Well, that's lousy timing.
Yeah,
One wonders about embassy options.
we can talk to Ian about how useful the U.S. Embassy is for things like that.
I mean, that's fair. Well, I have heard rumors that the State Department is actually doing its job when it comes to citizens stranded overseas in the last week or so.
That would be new.
They're unconfirmed rumors, but they are rumors.
I mean, I've dealt with them a little bit before. Can't say that I've ever found the State Department to be helpful.
I understand a lot of people have elected to retire early in the last several months.
Probably a good thing.
I am a big fan of less bureaucracy.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. So, yeah, unfortunately, we still don't have Dr. Pajit back. He will yell at me for calling him that, but I don't care. We're best friends. He can deal with it.
It's true, and has, and will again.
Mm-hmm. So let us start with our questions 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dave, what have you done for self-improvement to make yourself a better person, dad, husband, or something?
I started a project to better husband, father. Well, I started a project for me, but
that's part of it.
It
counts.
I purchased a number of things at Lowe's, which, curiously, it seems to have better stuff for homeowners, whereas the Home Despot,
the big orange box,
the Despot of Homes seems to work on catering explicitly to the contractor crowd. And you would think there would be
in many ways, yes.
You think there would be substantial overlap, and I do like the Despot for a lot of things. They have my preferred flavor of power tools, for example.
Yes,
but I am a red tool flavor fan.
So am I mostly.
Yeah, but the.
So was this retail therapy, or did it have a purpose?
This has a purpose. This is getting the house in order so that we can stop spending money at government facilities and continue spending it at our mailing address.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
I mean, okay, the guys have been there working. The crew of Mennonites are I'm not sure if they're a volunteer effort or if they're a company that does this, but they are explicitly a disaster relief crew. They filled up the exterior walls with bats of insulation and then closed them up with drywall after pulling the rest of the wires that needed done. We're going to have more than one outlet in each wall, which is actually rather exciting.
Oh yeah, what kind of insulation did they use?
Oh, fiberglass, whatever was donated or donatable or whatever. If this was my forever home, I would have paid somebody to probably spray foam for most of it. But
I'd actually go with rock wool myself.
Yeah, rock wool is a great one. We'll see. I
Insulation, which is an improvement over what you had.
which is no insulation or
Yes.
just thick drywall and siding.
Well, didn't you
Recommend.
have lath and plaster on much of the interior?
Oh no, no, not so lucky. The original siding is actually cedar planks. Um,
No, I meant on the inside because that's what
oh,
they did before drywall.
it's all drywall. It was
Okay.
1960s drywall with 1960s paper wallpaper between that and the more recent drywall.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, explained a lot of things once we started opening the walls and staring at it and going, "Huh, well that's a choice."
Yeah, it's certainly a choice.
Mm-hmm. So but anyway, in addition to doing that, I got a bit of poplar plank to start whittling away at in order to make a sheath for the knife I bought from Ben a few
Oh,
weeks ago.
awesome.
So I'm excited about that.
One other thing that I recommend using the like poplar 1x4s for
Mm-hmm.
is as a backer to hang your towel rods and such.
Mm-hmm.
Because those usually get stuck in with drywall anchors because placing them on studs is damn near impossible to have them placed where they make sense.
It's
So
true.
what I've done for years is use a piece of 1x4, use a router on the edges to round them off,
Yep.
and then screw that down to the studs wherever you need it. Fill in, countersink the screws, fill it over, paint it, and then install your towel bars and such into there, because then you can just screw it right in, and it will never tear out of the wall, even when you have a small child attempting to do pull-ups or attempting to climb a towel, for example,
Yes.
as I saw many times while I was running apartments.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have done similar things in the previous iteration of the house. So that is a his dog.
Lord Nibbler says hello. Get out, you. He thinks he's my baby.
Yes, well, he's at least half right.
Yeah. He's not even a puppy. Gosh, he's 4 years old.
Wow.
He still acts like a puppy.
Yeah.
So you're doing work. You're doing work.
Yes.
Me, this is going to sound weird to a lot of people probably, but this week I was trying. Well, I'm trying to do some work on PTSD hypervigilance.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Where due to where due to various things that have happened, you tend to you tend to be intensely aware of your surroundings because there's always the potential for danger, and it can inhibit you sometimes. It can get in the way, and like this week, it has been rainy and gray like all week,
Mm-hmm.
and the weather affects me. I could never live in the Pacific Northwest or Alaska
Yeah.
because there's just, well, Alaska has half the year with not very much sun, and the Pacific Northwest just goes 10 to 15 days in a row without the sun showing for more than an hour.
I remember it happening for weeks on end when I was younger.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that is difficult for me to do is to use headphones or earbuds anywhere, because it cuts off the that oral input. And I'm like, you know what? I am in the house making dinner. Kids are kids are around doing their things. One's in the living room watching TV. I've got one in the dining room at one of the PCs playing. I would like to listen to music because it improves my mood. And I can't just, use one of my sets of heavily amplified speakers in the house because that will override what everybody else is doing. And I said, okay, fine. So as I've been preparing dinner every day this week, I've put in earbuds and am trying to condition myself to losing a little bit of that input and being okay with it. Because honestly, it's kind of maladaptive.
Yeah, it drives a certain level of cortisol that, frankly, neither of us really needs to deal with.
Yeah. So, I mean, for people who don't get it, it sounds like that's retarded, but it's something I think I've needed to try to work on for a while. So I'm actually trying to work on it now.
All right.
So, what is something that you fucked up this week?
Oh, God bless. Emotional regulation has been a tough one this week because we've just that the yes, good things are happening with the house. This is important, but until Tuesday, we were expecting to have to get all of our stuff into tubs and out of this space on Wednesday, and just weren't going to make it um, for a lot of reasons. That's a stressor, even though that.
Oh yeah, and
That
not a small one.
yeah, yeah. A thing my father has said is that eustress or good stress is still stress. Um,
Yes.
and so while good things are happening, I mentioned getting a plank of poplar. Well, I was at Lowe's the previous day with my wife and the kids, and we had to make a bunch of decisions on things we were going to do. Um,
Yep.
and it was unexpected, and executive function is always at a premium anyway. And so that was exhausting. And then I had to go back the next day to get a bunch of the stuff to make sure that it could get to the house so that the
Yep.
guys would have it on hand. And that was exhausting as well. And it's just having to do all of that. It would be one thing if it was just, okay, here's my list, I go get the stuff and take it. I'm also wrangling children
While doing it. Yep.
and while doing it, and that is very tiring.
It
And
certainly can be.
yeah,
Especially when they're bored because mom and dad are talking about which fixtures do we want, what color of blinds do we want, what color of paint are we going to use. That's
yeah,
incredibly boring for for 10 and 12-year-olds, much less for a 16-month-old.
it's true. It's true. And that day, poor little Robbie had was it was lots of errands, so he was mostly stuck without the ability to run around because
Yep.
we're not just going to turn him loose inside a hardware store. Uh,
That's a good way to get him run over by a cart of lumber.
yeah, yeah. Um, so it's been a week, and the emotional regulation has been tough. There have been a number of opportunities to exercise willpower, and some of them have been easier to manage than others.
Yep. I've been there. That's Yeah, I think I've got my in-laws coming out in actually at the end of this month. Oddly enough, my father-in-law and I share a birthday, which is at the end of the month. But they're going to be out here to go through and start selecting stuff for their house with the contractor. That's
Right?
going to be an entire day or two
Yeah. I
of helping them.
I would say I imagine you'll be on hand for that.
Yes, we've got currently we have a weekly um, web meeting with their builder on the schedule for the next 111 weeks, which I think is just the max that Zoom lets them schedule them as repeating meetings. If it takes 111 weeks to build their house, I'm going to shoot somebody.
That's a lot of weeks. That's a chunk over 2 years.
Yeah, I'm expecting we should be done before Christmas. They closed on the lot on Tuesday.
Oh, that's good for them.
Yes, and I actually am happy about the fact that my in-laws are going to be moving 2 miles away from me.
Yeah, we have talked about eventually moving close to my in-laws or close to my family. Fortunately, my family lives in the Portland area, and barring the hand of God, I don't really intend to put my family that close to that many crazy people in power.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest is not where I would choose to be.
Yeah, which is pain. I love it there.
Yeah, we're going to be there. Our annual summer vacation with Nick and Alex is, I think, like May 31st through the first week of June out on the Oregon coast.
Nice.
Well, I pulled up the temperature data.
Yeah.
Typical overnight lows of 45 and daytime highs of like 62.
Yep.
That's cold.
That's perfect. Almost.
No,
perfect.
It's too cold.
Oh no, I love that weather. Ah.
See, I'm sitting here going, I was planning on buying this stuff and spending much of the week surf fishing. And now I'm looking at that and going, I don't want to be in the beach breeze all day wet.
Look, you just need a wetsuit. So
I'm looking at waders.
That's all the surfers at Ocean Shores wear.
Yeah, I'm looking at waders so that I don't end up wading out into the surf and getting wet and freezing myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or possibly just not dealing with Oregon's insane fishing regulations.
Yeah.
Their fishing regulation book is massive.
Well,
and the licenses are expensive. A 1 week license with the ocean endorsement is going to cost me something like $240.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I really would love to do more saltwater fishing, but yeah, I'm on the fence. It's going to be cold and it's expensive.
Yeah.
But for something that I fucked up this week, I am also doing house stuff, framing out one of the 2 bedrooms that needs to be completed in the basement. And of course, I'm framing that by myself. I went and stood up an 8-foot wall section because I don't like trying to set things in place, then toenailing in all the studs. So I do them in 8-foot sections, but I stagger the top and bottom plates, etc. So I stood up an 8-foot section and stepped away from it to grab the stuff that I used to level it and to fix it to the wall while I'm putting up everything else until everything's tied into the joists above.
Sure.
And it fell on me.
Ow.
Hit me in the back of the leg, just behind the knee, knocked me on my face. And I went down and then I went, oh shit. Because I could not feel my leg. I was like, I am going to be severely pissed if I just fractured my leg, because somehow I'm gonna have to figure out how to do drywall in a cast. Because I'm not gonna wait 3 months to finish this.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, it would be. As it turns out, I did not fracture my leg. However, from the knee down, I am purple and green. It seems that I burst a fairly sizable vein or two.
Oh, fun!
So my foot is purple from blood pooling in it, and it's swollen. It keeps swelling up enough that it's legitimately quite painful. So I keep having to go and sit or lay down and elevate my leg for an hour or two because I have
Yeah.
free blood pooling in it, and it sucks. I knew better. I knew I should have pulled that bottom plate out so it was actually leaned back against the wall, but it was standing just fine. It'll be fine for the 15 seconds,
Yeah.
and then whack.
Ow. Yeah.
It's annoying more than anything.
Don't do that, kids.
Easily preventable, but I was dumb.
Well, and that honestly, that is the vast majority. I'm using the knife I got from Ben to carve out the surface of the poplar, and I turned it around and was,
Cutting towards yourself,
yeah, not towards my body, but
towards your hand.
definitely
That's
I definitely got myself.
that's a corner off your totem chip card.
Yeah,
Do you do Boy Scouts?
I I did not. I went to the
Really?
informational meeting with my father at the transition from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, and um, my dad had to end up leading the meeting because the dads who were the leaders who were there were feckless,
Oh,
and I didn't particularly want, like, he was not impressed with them. I was not impressed with the guys who were there because I knew them all from school, and it was like I don't want to spend a lot of time with these guys. Um, so I elected not to continue. I kind of regret that. I think it would have been useful for me to go through Eagle, um, and in that it would have done could have done good things for my character. Um,
yeah. See, I did because at the time I was growing up, for the Mormon Church, every congregation had their own troop, and
mhm.
that was the um, activities organization for young men. So we were all compulsory. We all participated compulsorily, and I
Yeah,
actually I actually finished my Eagle just before I turned 14
that
because
seems
I was
early.
an overachiever and getting pushed.
Yeah,
Like I did it as quickly as possible, and then I ended up spending the summers I was 14 and 15 working at a scout camp, mostly to spend the summer away from my family. It was worth getting paid the $40 a week to sleep in a old um, wood framed army surplus tent
yeah.
and
I
teach merit badges and stuff.
kind of love those things. There's a certain nostalgia to them.
Yeah,
My
and we had old army medical cots.
wow,
You know,
you and
they still had the IV stands with them. They were adjustable for inclination and stuff. They were fantastic.
that's cool. That's actually really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, my second year, that was the first, actually the only job I've been fired from. I was an asshole with some other guys that I worked with. We got fired a week before the end of camp for the year. That's a different story, though. We're not going to get into that one today.
Fair enough. That will probably tie into a future topic. Um, okay, so what went well?
For me,
Yeah.
um, what I did well this week is I've been trying to be very intentional about ensuring that I'm giving the kids positive reinforcement.
Mm,
Because by the nature of things, you end up spending a lot of time dealing with the things that we need to improve on,
yes.
and I want to be intentional about also telling them the things that they're doing well telling them that I'm proud of them, that I see and I understand to the degree that I can the things that they're struggling with, and the fact that they are working on those and making improvement. That I'm really proud of them for doing it, because a lot of people, including adults, just ignore all of those things because it's hard.
Yep, and it's embarrassing. Paying
Yeah.
compliments is for some reason involves demonstrating a level of vulnerability emotionally that people generally find embarrassing. I
Hmm.
still kind of don't understand. Like, I recognize it, but I don't really understand it.
Yeah. I think back and I can point to less than a handful of instances where I believe my parents were proud of me.
Mm.
And for the most part, I'm pretty sure that I was mostly a disappointment for them, which is probably more an indictment of them than of me. But
Given what I know of your work ethic and habits, I would definitely see that as more of an indictment of them.
yeah, I'm not perfect by any means, but
Well, I'm not saying you're a saint.
I'm no saint. No plaster saints here.
But yeah, no, let's see what has gone well. I mentioned the house. The house is getting worked on. It's going to be livable. Now, it's not going to be complete. We're still going to have a couple of bathrooms to get done, in the kitchen to do, but the drywall will be taken care of, floated, taped, and everything uh, usable probably within a couple of weeks, I would imagine. Certainly
Oh,
by the
that's
end.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
It's
and
only 9 months of not being able to live in your house.
I'm still being out Tully, as well as a number of other people who have gotten flooded um, this time around. Uh, Other places I've heard of, it's taken up to 18 months for people to get back into their house, or longer. And I
Yeah,
just,
I've seen that.
yeah. Um, if I suddenly come into obscene amounts of money, I will be raising the house, building a berm, um, so that the entire house is about 2 feet above the
Ground level.
rest of the ground level, and then rebuilding in a more interesting fashion. Um, Figuring that
You've got enough space on your land, don't you, to be able to build one house before raising the other?
absolutely, we've got 3 acres, and I would love to do that.
I'm jealous.
You know, the problem is I don't have the money to clear or uh, do a lot of the more interesting things that I would like to do yet.
Yes. Still, you have space.
We do have some space, and it's outside city limits, at least for now, and it's Texas, and so most of the expectations just don't exist.
Yeah. Whereas I'm now on the board of our HOA
Hmm.
because we essentially executed a small hostile takeover that most people aren't aware of
It's the
between
only,
myself and two other of the younger guys in the neighborhood. But from my back deck, especially since my house is on a little bit of a slope, I look down into three people's backyards.
yeah.
I don't love that.
No, no, and you can't really get away from it. Building 20-foot fences in the backyard would be your neighbor
Illegal.
excessive.
City ordinance limits us to a 6 foot tall fence. Yes. I mean, my ideal situation is one where I can shoot rifles off my back porch and nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, I can't even really do that. Technically, legally speaking, we're too close to our neighbors. Um, but there are a lot of things we can't do.
I mean, suppress 22.
Suppress 22, I don't think anybody's actually going to be upset about, especially if I take the time to put in a berm or construct a tire wall or similar.
Yeah.
Um, but if I was making a lot of noise, I suspect somebody would get curious,
Yeah, you'd have deputies showing up,
probably.
being like, sir, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I don't think I'm ever going to get there just because the way things go for the next 9 years, we are basically stuck here because this is where the kids are going to school.
Yeah.
And after that, my wife works in psychiatric hospitals. You don't find those out in the middle of nowhere. And moving away from Salt Lake probably is not going to happen with my in-laws relocating here specifically to be by us.
Right.
I might be able to swing after the kids are out of high school, moving to some unincorporated land like 20 miles west of here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see. The viability of that will depend a lot on how my health is when I'm 50 years old.
Fair.
Because it very well may be that at that point, building a 5,000 square foot shop would be useless because I'm not physically up to it anymore. Same thing with managing a couple acres of land, hopefully some meat animals.
Right. Which, as we know from our friend Eric, is not a enormous amount of work, but is still work.
Oh yeah, it's required work every day.
Yeah, and it's livestocky work, which means your foot could get stepped on
Mm-hmm.
by something that weighs a ton.
But yeah, by a 1,800-pound cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said today we're going to talk about sleep after having it reinforced to you this week by your dearest youngest son that sleep is a precious commodity.
You know, the literature proclaims that toddlers are assholes, and I think that every parent will acknowledge that to a degree, one degree or another.
They are the most lovable assholes, though.
It's true. Well, and you
It's kind of like how our wives see us. Although I don't think that they think we're nearly as cute as your youngest.
In fairness, my kids toddlers can be cute, and for some reason, my kids have been exceptionally cute. Like, I am not that.
Your kids are genuinely like. I mean, honestly, the word that comes to mind is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They're like pretty kids. It's
my eldest was that baby that the maternity ward nurses stopped by to check on way more often than they actually had to, and it was mostly just to sit there and stare at him while he slept. He was unbelievably beautiful, and to the point where we talked seriously about modeling options, and then said, let's not do that to him.
Yeah, let's not subject him to that.
Yeah, because he might do well, and that's actually probably the worst case scenario.
That's very possible, but both of them are
they're
exceptionally adorable children,
exceptionally comely and very personable. And
yes.
since my kids all punch well above their weight class intellectually, we have plenty of adult friends who enjoy their company because they're polite and well spoken and interesting, which is
more than you can say about a lot of adults.
It's true. It's true. I have been in the military. I know how accurate that statement is. Um, but
And you were never and you were never stuck in a steel can with them for 6 months at a time.
oh, for goodness sake, that would have been, you know, I could have made it work at least once, but that does sound like a one of a trial. I'll call it that.
Yeah, my little brother's active duty Navy. You know that.
Hmm.
He's now in San Diego on a carrier stationed on a carrier that's in dry dock.
Wow.
So he's also stuck in temporary housing because technically his billet is the ship.
Yep.
But he was on a dock landing ship based out of Mayport for like 7 years. I think his second or third deployment. So they carry 4 LCACs. I think a complement of almost 300 Marines and like 60 Navy personnel
Oh
to
my.
actually run the ship. And the LSDs were supposed to have been decommissioned in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But they're still very much in service. They ended up on a deployment where they were stationed off the coast of Yemen, poised to help evacuate the embassy during one of the flaps there several years ago.
One of the many.
Somebody on the Marine complement came down with measles.
How?
The way that everybody's vaccinated, who knows? But somebody on the Marine complement came down with measles, so the ship was quarantined.
Yep.
And for 6 months, members of the ship's complement kept coming down with measles. They were stuck in quarantine, running a racetrack off the coast of Yemen for over 6 months. That ended up being almost a 9-month-long deployment, during which most of it they made no port calls.
Wow, that sounds like a special kind of hell.
And I mean, with shipboard Marines, they don't have anything to do.
It's true. Like you run through your playbook pretty quickly, because there's only so much training you can do before you're actually becoming before it becomes detrimental to good order
Mm-hmm.
and discipline. And steel beach picnics aren't enough.
No.
Like that is a stopgap measure. Oh, wow.
Idle hands are the devil's playthings.
Yes.
Well, think about that when it's over 219-year-old Marines who are bored.
Okay. The first thing I would do with the older SEO at that point as a skipper would be to somehow lay my hands on a couple pallets of tabletop RPG books and supplements and paraphernalia. Yes,
You're assuming most of them can read.
I look.
Which,
You can
okay,
find
that's not fair. They actually have the highest minimum ASVAB score. I
it's true,
know.
and I saw ASVAB scores of everybody in my division in boot camp, and it was not as impressive as you would hope.
I can imagine. But just if you know Marines, you imagine them having nothing to do for 9 months,
'Cause
stuck in close quarters.
you don't have enough workout gear to keep them exhausted.
No.
You don't have enough crayons to keep them satiated. There are no women, or at least the few who are wearing navy togs, and that's concerning. Um,
Yes.
wow, wow! I actually I want to know more about that cruise, just because
Well,
how do they keep things from going bad? Did you ever read uh, Ringo and Travis Taylor's Vorpal Blade books?
yes, several times. I recently recommended those to my father-in-law since he's a rocket scientist, literally.
Yes, they are a lot of fun. But one of the things that I appreciate a great deal about the latter ones is that view into the Marine platoon level existence, um, because it's so wildly different from what I experienced in the Navy, especially as a intel puke. There was like I had a it was not a day job; it was shift work, but it was functionally a day job. I came in, I did my shift, I made sure I checked all the right boxes, and I went home. And you know, as much as I say Hawaii is another place to live, but the prices are twice what you would hope, and you can't leave island
Yeah.
easily. Um, it's There are far worse places to be stationed. Um, Norfolk, Virginia, among them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did to Norfolk, but trying to we were there at one point. Sarah and I were, and trying to leave Norfolk, and we got turned around like 3 times. And I've got a pretty damn good sense of direction. It was weird. Mm,
Yeah.
not my favorite.
It is my understanding that quite a few people decided that they were done in the military after that cruise.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm never going to let that kind of thing happen again, no matter what it takes.
Yeah, and my little brother for that cruise was the junior guy in his division that was understaffed by 50%.
Oh no! Well, at least he was busy.
He was.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, my youngest, my delightful, genuinely delightful youngest, who is, for those who've been paying attention, has been seen on stream at least once, because things being what they are, occasionally I get to manage him um, in the evening when he refuses to crash. When he refuses to, in the parlance of our generation, go the fuck to sleep. Um,
Do you have that book?
I do. I do.
Good.
I think. I think we have that book.
I've gifted it to a few people.
I know we have that book, and I'm pretty sure we also have the sequel. You have to fucking eat. Um, if you have not, dear viewers and listeners, checked that one out, it is eminently worthwhile. Check out the audio.
Isn't that
Because
read by Danny Trejo?
no, Samuel L. Jackson reads it,
That's right. That's right.
and Stephen Fry reads "You Have to Fucking Eat." They are chef's kiss. Love those.
My
Uh,
audio version of Hitchhiker's Guide is read by Stephen Fry.
yes,
He's excellent.
he is. He is excellent, and I appreciate that man on a number of levels. Um, not least because he made the mistake of pissing off J.K. Rowling at one point, because he did the audio editions for all the Harry Potter books, and
Oh,
he has a particular difficulty pronouncing a specific word. I can't actually remember what it is, but it'd be easy to find.
yeah, that's
He's
right. And she made a point of repeatedly
and
doing it, didn't she?
yes, she demonstrated incredible pettiness, the likes of which I can only applaud. That is, uh, this is how you know someone is a genuine author, when they get really really petty in prose.
Oh, yes, like Joe Buckley.
Like poor Joe Buckley, man. I miss the old bar. The old bar was good times.
Wasn't
But
that
yeah,
Ringo who started that?
that was Ringo indeed who started that, but it spread, and Buckley has had his own anthology. Well, I say his own. He has been the subject of an anthology. I don't believe he actually got any credits for it, which is entirely appropriate because, as I'm given to understand, the man was a bit obnoxious. Um, that's all right.
Yeah, I have my Barfly challenge coin here,
Ah,
which one of the inscriptions on the back of it is "Who killed Joe Buckley?"
yes,
basically everybody and every physical force known.
It is indeed a something of a rite of passage for Bane authors to kill Joe Buckley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway, so my youngest, I don't know if he's teething. He might be. We know he's working on pushing out a couple more molars. I
oh joy.
don't think he's actually ill, but he was a little shit yesterday afternoon. He was unpleasant all afternoon, and insisting on being the center of my world, which is fine, but starts to trigger my introversion, desperate need chew off my arm to get away and hide in a closet somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh, and then he passed out. Finally started to pass out sometime around 4:30. For those who are not familiar with military time, and in the afternoon, and then slept really well right up until I was
Until about midnight, right?
11:30 when I was ready
Called
to
it.
go, and then I had to get him up, and he was very much awake, um, and stayed awake until sometime after 2. So I am operating on far less sleep than I like to get, far less than normal.
Yes.
I feel pretty good about that. But sleep is one of those things that there's a lot more literature out there, a lot more popularization. It seems that sleep is one of the more important things we can do for our existence, for our sanity, for our health, for our longevity, and then we have kids, and they destroy our ability to get real sleep.
Yeah, which is one of the arguments in favor of having children fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is several years younger than me. I think she's 37 this year. I'm 43 this year.
Yeah.
Not sure. Either way, we already have 6 kids, all of them from prior marriages,
Yeah.
and we get people. So when are you guys going to have one of your own? God no, God
Uh,
no. We already have 6. Thank you very much.
right.
But my youngest turned 11 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We are well past the sleepless nights and midnight feedings and teething.
Yep.
We're into teenagers who want to stay out till 3 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah.
that's honestly easier dealt with than a fussy teething small toddler.
It's true. It is true. Well, our oldest will be turning 12 this year.
Oh, the joys of puberty.
Oh, we're there, man. I mean, we're getting some of the early stages of emotional. I think I can speak my mind in this situation. Um, kind of judgment calls, which is when I say that there have been a number of opportunities for me to exercise willpower. That's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah, adolescent boys who are suddenly getting lots more testosterone become
Well,
moody
and
and volatile.
and I'm making him work out regularly. So uh, as I have told my kids, this is ultimately for your good, because
Hmm.
I'm making you miserable on at a low level on a somewhat daily basis, so that you aren't miserable people when you're my age and dealing with the crap that I'm dealing with.
Yes.
And to include, I'm, they are actually going to get used to exercise on a regular training as a thing, and they don't necessarily like it. My daughter, especially, is not thrilled with things like bench dips and push-ups.
That's okay.
But
It's good for her.
it is very good for her, and it is one of those things where if you put in the time when they are young enough, that all of these things are difficult, then when they start to put on muscle, when they actually get bone density and muscle and coordination, it will be much easier for them.
Yeah. And keeping that as a habit to which they were habituated at a young age
Hmm.
will be much easier than trying to figure it out when you're suddenly in your mid 30s going, God, I'm fat and out of shape. And this is really, really unpleasant.
Hmm. And affecting sleep. How many of our good friends are using CPAPs for basically being overweight?
A lot.
Yeah.
My oldest just did her sleep study, her appointments at the end of the month. Now she's not even approaching anything resembling overweight.
No, no.
I mean, I think for her it's probably a neurological deficit related to a whole bunch of concussions in series because she's my child. I mean, hell, she concussed herself twice in one day snowboarding.
Okay.
She went down once, hit her head, threw
Uh-huh.
up, and was like, "Whatever, I'm going to keep going." And
Uh,
was woozy and decided to make four more runs. And the last one, she hit a tree, and ski patrol found her.
thank God.
Well,
Um,
she didn't pass out. She just hit and then threw up and then was really woozy.
yeah,
And
but
they're like,
that's
no, you have a concussion. You need to be. She's like, I did this earlier. They're like, oh my god, yes, we're taking you down, and you need to go get checked out.
that's kind of like when Sarah tested her Jeep for barrel rolls, and the EMTs who showed up got the pleasure of her explaining herself being a dumbass. Um, it's like that sense of yes, you are actually one of us. People going, oh crap,
Yeah,
we better offer this one a job so she doesn't learns how not to do this again.
yeah, but
That's
we know a lot of people who are on CPAP to help with quality of sleep, and yeah, primarily because they're overweight.
yeah, and for a lot of reasons. We have
And that's not passing judgment one way or
no,
the other, to be clear. That's just a fact of where they're at and what they've got to do to compensate for being where they're at currently.
and and if I can pass on to my children a habit of fitness, then they will be less likely to get in that situation.
Yep.
Uh, and so that's what we're doing there. And yet it's also an opportunity to practice some active parenting. Good times.
And all the
So,
fun that entails when you're making them do things that they don't want to do
mm-hmm.
and
So,
they don't believe that it's good for them.
uh, yeah. Well, and honestly, mine at least, and my appointment to talk to the doc about ADHD diagnosis is at the end of the month. But we've got to get the kids' uh, surveys filled out at some point. I have a 90-pound dog trying to play with me here. She's really distracting. Hi, hi. What is it? What do you need? What is it you need?
You're obviously involved in something, Dad, so I need your attention now.
Yeah, that's basically how that works.
That's dogs and toddlers.
You know, we got the dog. I'm thankful that my youngest is a redhead because otherwise it would be me and four stubborn blondes. Yes, hello, hello. This is Kitty. She's a sweetheart.
I haven't gotten to meet her yet.
Well, we'll have to figure out some way to deal with that. We now since we now have Clifford the big red vehicle. Um, we actually have space to for all of us to travel together.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about next summer.
Mm.
Get you guys get I would love to get you guys out with us for a week with Nick and Alex,
Oh, that sounds delightful. That sounds like a
because
lot of fun.
that's what we've done. Well, since they procreated, that's what
Yep,
we've done every year. We did Mount Hood, which was fantastic,
it is. It's gorgeous.
and last year we were at Cascade Lake in Idaho,
Hmm.
which was okay, although we got there too late for the fishing to be any good. But we had lots of other activities going on.
Fair.
And this year we're at the Oregon coast.
I don't really recommend Texas, and I have a feeling Nick will also not recommend Texas.
No,
Um,
it's way too hot.
the when people go camping in Texas, either it is like my eldest's scouting troop, where you go because it's part of the activity and you're doing things and you're young and don't know any better, or they're hauling a 30-foot trailer with air conditioning and
And a generator and a large tank of fuel.
yep.
Yeah. See, we've been renting cabins off of Verbo.
I'm a big fan of renting somebody else's space for things.
Yeah.
You're wrong. I would actually love to have. We've talked about having an RV for travel purposes and going around and doing those things because there's a lot of stuff we'd like to take the kids to see. But a single E6 income is not really commensurate to maintain the kind of comfort level we really would like to have for such things.
Yeah, RVs are expensive and they are maintenance intensive, because all that you have the vehicle part, which honestly is not too bad as long as it's more than 15 years old. The Don't get me started, especially this week, on the enshittification of the automotive market. But then you have all the house parts,
Yep,
and those are minimal
and,
sized and definitely built by the lowest bidder.
and they're
The water
special.
systems, the heating systems
Yep,
are incredibly maintenance intensive, to like 5 times what you're looking at in a house,
yep.
and cost twice as much.
And if you want the good stuff, and there is good stuff, but if you want it, you're going to be you're buying a house
Yes.
that you can't consider to be an asset.
Yes, because it depreciates.
Yes.
Yeah, my parents eventually had a couple of different RVs. It was like my dad's aspiration was to be able to go travel through the summer in an RV.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, the first one was a Class C based on like a '74 Dodge van. I built an engine and transmission for that.
Oh dear.
Replaced the furnace, replaced the water heater,
Hmm.
the water tanks, most of the sewage system. Next one was a Class A that was nicer, and I wasn't living at home, so they had to pay somebody to do all of that. It's They're stupid expensive.
They are. We actually looked at picking up a trailer in decent shape for living at the property while it was getting fixed, and it's just frankly not worth it.
Yeah,
Anything we could afford that would actually be a
livable.
livable would more or less wipe us out
Mhm.
in order to or, I mean we could go for payments. That sounds like a terrible plan
Yeah,
financially.
terrible
Uh,
plan.
so we'll stay on base and we'll just pray that they are done um,
Soon.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, long term sleep deprivation is a not something anybody should undertake lightly. Uh, one of the things that the military is great about is basically forcing people into unnatural cycles.
Yeah.
Um, when I was on shift work initially at the facility in Hawaii, I was working a rotating shift, and it was three swings, which were uh, what was it? It was 11 o'clock to 7 o'clock, uh,
Ew.
morning to evening, and then it was you'd get a about 30 hours off, and then you'd work three night shifts, which was 7 to roughly 4.
Ew.
And then you'd have not quite 3 days off, or just a little bit more than 3 days off. So in theory, you got like a long weekend every week, but you
You were
never
out
got.
of sync and you were trying to get yourself synced up for your next block of shifts
Yes.
because you could not get habituated to just being nocturnal.
Yep.
That's awful.
It really was. There was actually a pretty high incidence of people getting med down for um, mental health issues because of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Um,
mean, when my last from my mid 20s to my mid 30s, when I finally finished my undergrad, I ran 2 apartment complexes and at various times up to 5 dozen single houses that we remodeled and rented out and eventually sold. By we, I meant the company I was working for. I didn't have any capital in that, or else
would be
I'd be
doing
in a
better.
fantastic position.
Yeah.
Dude, they made so much money buying houses after the market crash. But with the apartments, I had issues with my leasing managers where I set up tools for communication, whole calendar so that we can put everything in for planned maintenance on a unit so that
Hmm.
we know when somebody's moving out, when we have somebody signed up to move in. And very, very frequently I would get a, hey, is this unit ready? The people are moving in tomorrow. I go, that's not supposed to be ready for 3 weeks. I still have to paint the whole damn thing. Well, they're going to be here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I find out at 3 p.m.
Hmm.
So I did a lot of overnight. Oh crap! I need to put a two-tone paint job on a 1,200 square foot apartment in the next 10 hours.
I mean, that is doable.
It's doable. It's not pleasant. I mean, especially since I just hate painting with a fiery passion. But that kind of disruption grew from being easy to being more and more difficult and requiring more recovery time afterwards. I mean, we had once where we had an apartment complex get a sewer backup. I was awake and working for 120 hours straight.
I I think I remember you telling us about that.
I don't even remember most of that because I was so out of it by the time I was able to stop.
Yeah.
And that took like a week of recovery because I was I think 33, 34, and
Hmm.
had severe active Crohn's disease at the time.
Yeah. Now that basically put you more or less flat on your back for a
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
And it probably took a full month before I felt normal again.
Yep. Yeah. If we had to do it over, if we had to do it over again, um, it would be very tempting to front load having kids because they are energy intensive.
Yes. Which on one hand, both of us, frankly, had children with people we probably should not have, and for which neither of us were really sufficiently mature enough at the
Mm.
time.
I'll be honest. I think that really covers a lot of people.
It does. I mean, that's I mean, I would say that my parents were definitely not prepared to have children when they did, although they
Mhm.
did. As I later found out, I was very unintentional and a product of poor education. But which I can tell you that the situation in which our kids were born in has had negative effects on them. Force them to go through divorce and remarriage on all sides, moving around, dealing with that conflict, and dealing with parents who were trying to get through day by day in dysfunctional relationships. Me, I was doing that as I was finally finishing my 17-year quest to finish a bachelor's degree. Um, my wife did med school and residency through having children.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of stress.
Yep.
There were a lot of things that took away some of our ability to give the kids all the attention and intentional training that they deserved. And we're doing our damnedest to make up for it now.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, I have one 18-year-old adult child at 43 years old, and the year I turn 50 is the year that the last one finishes high school.
That's pretty good. Robbie's he'll be not quite 2 years old. So he'll be 16 when I'm 60.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I work out and endeavor to eat well and endeavor to get decent sleep. I don't get decent sleep right now. There's just too much going on.
Well, that and you're in cramped living spaces, living in Navy temporary housing, and dealing with the. We might have to move next week again.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a lot of stressors that are added on top of all of the normal, and I know by nature you don't do extraordinarily well with getting consistent good sleep.
Look, I used to be really amazing at that when I had systems in place that encouraged it and like no obligations and requirements on me. I was pretty good.
I never really had a phase like that.
Yeah, if it's just me, I actually do tend to do pretty well. But as soon as it comes down to having an other person that I'm dealing with, it's not great.
I mean, part of my struggle is that my main drug, for to prevent organ rejection,
Mm.
is they call it a deep CNS stimulant. So you don't get any of the effects that you do from, say, caffeine in that way. It does not make me feel awake or anything. It does make it very, very difficult to sleep. And
Wow.
I have learned that I have to have routines. I have a time at which I force myself to be in bed most nights, and then I read, and I allow myself to read for 30 to 40 minutes and will try to fall asleep. If I fail for 15 to 20 minutes, I'll go ahead and pick up the book again and try again. And even so, I'm, well, I am not physically dependent on medication to sleep.
Right.
I've had a prescription for Ambien for like 12 years,
Ooh.
which which understanding the potential for for addiction
Yeah.
and such with it, manage very, very stringently. Um, Typically, a prescription of 30 pills will last me 5 to 6 months because I use it when I have to,
Hmm.
and and have to be very aware of avoiding dependency and avoiding building up a tolerance to it so that it does work when I need it to.
Right.
But it's fairly typical for me to go to bed between 11:30 and actually fall asleep between 1 and 2, and then I'm up at 6:30 to start getting people off to school.
Oof. Yeah.
And that's actually the best sleep schedule I've managed to keep as an adult.
That sounds genuinely terrible.
I honestly feel pretty good if I'm sleeping if I'm sleeping 5 hours a night. I feel like I'm doing pretty damn well. Now, there's also the half to 1 gram of caffeine a day that I consume to remain alert throughout the day.
Mm.
Um, which I have to manage. Which I have to manage that too. I need to cut back for a while. And the way things are set up now, I have the option of at least sometimes being able to take a nap during the middle of the day when nobody else is home. And
Yeah.
I'm learning to allow myself to do that when I really need to. It helps that my wife doesn't yell at me. She's like, "Oh, you took a nap? Good."
Yes. Yeah. The no, really, I want you to take care of yourself, and I will work to facilitate this.
Yes, it's it can be disconcerting. I feel awkward. Why are you trying to take care of me?
I mean, aside from the whole wedding vows thing,
I know
dude,
it's
I,
not something I've ever been habituated to.
I have no reason to be suspicious of such things, and it still feels weird. Like my wife has for we will be celebrating our 19th wedding anniversary this year. Uh, and thank you. It
I'm
is a
very
lot of.
proud of both of you.
It is highly. I highly recommend getting married to someone who is good for you and staying married, and that takes a lot of effort. And we'll go into that further and
Yes,
deep at another point. We've talked about it a bit. We will talk about it more. Uh, it's still a lot of work, and it still feels weird to have someone say, "No, I love you, and I want you to be better, and I want to help you be better."
yeah.
That may also be related to mental health struggles. So, you know,
Well, yeah. That's kind of like the whole thing from last week. I
yeah,
have friends and they want me to do stuff.
right. They want to be around me, and that feels weird, but I like it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I
So,
said, most of us are at least partially covering for the fact that we kind of feel the same way.
right.
Not sure why all of you weirdos like me, but
I'm
okay, let's do this.
yeah. I am open to being liked. I'm going to be awkward about it and weird
Yes.
because I feel awkward and weird. Yeah, I think a major part of maturity is actually coming to grips with the fact that not only are you awkward and weird, but so is everyone else.
And not over embracing that aspect of it.
Amen. For anybody who's actually been to a science fiction convention, you have seen plenty of people who are wildly over weirdness. And I love them dearly. They are my tribe. They are my people in this world. And also, it's strange to realize that you're one of the more functional ones. And go,
Yeah. It's
but
one of those, it's like, did you know that moderation's actually healthy?
oh goodness.
I mean, because I mean, seriously, if you're not immersed in science fiction and fantasy fan groups,
Mm,
um, think like CrossFit people, but about the nerdiest shit imaginable.
yeah, it's like
It is it's for some people it is their whole personality.
you find a vegan CrossFit uh, bicycling enthusiast, um, and they want to be that evangelistic, but they're
About Warhammer.
terribly awkward about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can be that evangelical about Warhammer, but most of us aren't Henry Cavill.
I can't. Well, most of us are just not that simply not that attractive and charismatic. Period.
No, have you heard about some of the stuff going on behind the scenes of Amazon's
I
Warhammer
I
TV
have
show?
I have seen bits and pieces as I've perused the Book of Faces, for example, and it's it seems like he is doing his damnedest to maintain a stranglehold on the lore, and there are honestly people that are grouchy about that.
Yes, that's what I've seen. I've heard about him spending many nights up till 4 or 5 a.m. revising scripts and revising costuming directions and saying, no, you can't do that. That is inconsistent with the lore. Fix it."
Uh, you
You know,
know,
but
if they did, like, signs were there, man. If they didn't want this, they really should not have opened that particular Pandora's box. Um, but there's no hope at the bottom of the Warhammer 40K uh, fandom. So it's just that it's. I am not going to watch it because I find the world interesting and compelling enough, but also it is so terribly unpleasant.
grimdark. I'm going to give it a shot. I generally shy away from the everything is shit genre, but there are some things in that universe that I just find hilarious.
Oh, that's fair. There's a lot of hilarity. The entire orcs, space orcs, are hilarious.
Yes,
They're straight up they're straight up comic relief, which is important because there's not a lot of humor in that world. Um, I hope they do well. I hope they do it well. Um, I don't know, man. The whole
the other universe that I find immensely entertaining yet do not immerse myself in
mm,
is Helldivers.
yes,
I mean,
space.
the propaganda for managed democracy
Yeah,
is so
it's a little
sort
too on the nose.
yes, it's so damn cynical, but it is funny as hell to
That's
me.
fair. Well, you know the background behind the in many ways execrable film titled Starship Troopers, right?
Okay, I'm I gotta say this.
Yeah.
If you take it away from the source material and just make it a a 90s popcorn movie, it's
Yep.
not terrible.
It's a lot of fun. And see, here's the thing: Paul Verhoeven took the a script for a film called Bug Hunt
Yep.
and licensed the material from Heinlein's Starship Troopers, and then just kind of spread thinly over this other thing because he wanted to make a film about futuristic fascists. And as a warning, as a polemic warning to all Americans, because
Uh-huh.
of course he did.
Verhoeven's a douche canoe.
Well, and also it the reason it bears so little actual resemblance to Robert Heinlein's masterwork in Starship Troopers is that there really wasn't much actually pulled from that except a, a bit of framing device.
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, and okay, Starship Troopers for me.
Yeah.
Um, I've been thinking about various things related to what we're going to do with this show, and I go back to the man who first gave me a window into the parenting style I've endeavored to cultivate
Mm,
of one holding your children accountable while also being kind to them and like providing the positive affirmation.
right.
Um, this was one of my high school teachers, my high school science teacher. Um, he was a medic with 19th Special Forces,
Wow.
which is the only reserve SF formation in the U.S. military, based out of Utah.
Yeah, they're the ones based out of Utah.
hmm So he was a medic, which if you know anything about SF medic training, holy shit,
It's
he
pretty
was the
intense.
he was the best guy to take AP anatomy and physiology from.
Oh, I bet.
But I think it was my sophomore year. I had chemistry from him, and we ran on an AB schedule, so we had 90-minute class periods. He took the first 15 minutes of every class in my chemistry class to read Starship Troopers to us because
Wow.
he said you guys will learn more that is valuable from this than you are from learning chemistry.
It's true. I took chemistry. I got an A in high school chemistry, and mostly what I remember is a little bit about the standard model of electrons and atom uh, structure, and mostly playing Yahtzee in the back with a friend.
Yeah, I mean, and this guy, while I was in high school, moved in close to us, so he was in our same church congregation. So I saw a lot of the interaction between him and his kids, and knowing this guy was a straight up badass.
Yeah.
I mean, he was SF from the early '90s up until the 20 teens.
Wow.
So all the shadowy stuff that went on in the '90s, he was there for a lot of it.
Long unexplained absences from, or brief unexplained absences from the classroom.
Not while I was in school because we did a 3-year high school, so we was there from '99 to '01. But following the blow up of things in Afghanistan and Iraq,
Sure.
he was eventually fired by the school district because he'd gone over all available allowances for time away for deployments.
I'm not sure that's legal.
Well, they may not have fired him, but that was the end result
Yeah.
because he ended up away so much. But see, this guy, he was a big dude. He was kind of uncharacteristic for Army SF because he was a big dude. They
Most
tend they tend towards the ranger physique.
Yeah, most operators, yeah, SF especially tends to be pretty lean, whereas a lot of the other operators tend to be, frankly, about my build, honestly.
Yeah, but no, Hill was a big dude,
Mm,
and I was and I of course was far more familiar with that environment than most of the American public was pre 9/11. So I had a idea. So I knew this guy was a badass, and to see him with his little 4-year-old, like cuddling the kid and seeing the kid act out, and he's got him. He's like, "Hey, You can't do that.
Yeah.
We have to do better. And kid starts crying, and he hugs me. And he says, "Hey, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in trouble. You're not bad. It's just we got to do better on this."
Yep.
And the more that I look back on it, the more I realize that seeing some of that was really the eye-opening thing of that's the dad I want to be. And part of that, and part of that, before I knew him outside of school, was sitting there having this guy sitting in front of class reading Starship Troopers to us and fucking crying at some of the passages
I could see that.
and talking about what this means and why he's affected by this. That was my introduction to good SF. I mean, I grew up reading my dad's Louis L'Amour westerns and his airport books. Essentially,
Mm-hmm.
I read everything Tom Clancy wrote when it came out, starting from when I was like 10.
And frankly, I think young boys and young men should read Louis L'Amour books.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a lot of stuff in there.
but that was my introduction to classic SF and became kind of foundational to
Yep.
a lot of how my views on things developed. Kind of based on Starship Troopers and that the history of more history and moral philosophy
Yeah.
of of the necessity of there being some buy-in and sacrifice to truly value what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Became something that I internalized and became like foundational for me. So first time I watched that movie, I was so pissed.
I got lucky and watched it before I read the book.
Yeah, but I mean that was my introduction to Heinlein, and which led to Asimov and Clark, and
Sure.
really led me to where I found my people.
Yep.
My group of long-term friends I rarely get to see, who have helped bring me to the frankly fantastic position I'm in now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I met you and I met Nick literally through Sarah Hoyt's fan groups.
Yep. Yeah. That was, oh man, that was my first Liberty Con, where I ended up. I had met Mike Williamson years earlier at WindyCon in Chicago, right after Sarah finished her first deployment, right after we got married. Um, and we actually met up in Chicago as she was getting back to the States, and we spent the weekend at this convention, and then we took a train ride because we were young and dual military incomes and didn't have a lot to spend our money on.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun, and that's where I met Mike, and actually met John Ringo there, and Eric Flint was there as well. But that first Liberty Con, actually meeting Sarah in person and the rest of the family was suddenly, it was like, oh, right, this is what other people have been experiencing all their
Mm-hmm.
lives. That's
Yeah.
weird, but I like it.
I'll tell you, when after I finished my degree, which was kind of the tailspin of my first marriage, I was traveling to Denver every other week because I was managing a second office there.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best things for my mental health was being able to go and Uber out to Sarah and Dan's house and spend the night there, as opposed to in a downtown Denver hotel.
Yeah.
Because it was like coming home.
Yep. Yeah, it was that first LibertyCon ended up catching a ride with them to a thing and just sitting in the back of their rental with Rob and Marsh, as they're fighting over stuff, and I'm just chuckling, and Sarah's going, "What? What? Have we always had three sons?"
Well, yeah, there's that part where we're most of the contingent of Sarah's unofficially adopted sons.
It's true.
I need to visit them again.
Yep.
I last made it to Kansas on my whirlwind tour through Texas and back, where I repaired my truck on the side of the road 3 times 2 years ago.
Flatland. Yeah, we were up there for Marsh and Morgan's hand fasting a year ago. A year ago.
That was more than a year ago, wasn't it?
Years ago? No, Robbie was tiny.
Well, then it had to have been about a year ago.
About a year ago, because it was. I want to say that was March. I don't know. Dude, this is part of the problem with chronic sleep deprivation is actually detrimental, wildly detrimental to memory.
Yes, it is.
Um, I am nearly certain that if a straight up neurotypical human being undergoes chronic sleep deprivation, um, and a number of other stressors, that you can induce an ADD like uh, set of mental illnesses.
Been there, done that. Can affirm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
No, but your youngest is approaching the ages where they start sleeping better and are far less dysregulated on the regular.
Yeah, well, and he's been hitting the point. We experienced this with our oldest. Actually, we were at a language training thing for my wife, and we were at a hotel, like a extended stay kind of hotel, and the at one point he started waking us up screaming in the middle of the night. And it took us a couple of nights to realize that he wasn't actually asleep. No, what was going on was he was transitioning to solids, and so he wasn't getting as much nutrition as he was used to, and so he was starving in the middle of the night.
Interesting.
He was just very hungry, and that may be what's going on with Robbie. But
Well,
when
especially if he's teething, because then eating is exceedingly unpleasant.
it's true, and we're trying to get him doing more actual chewing as well, and he just doesn't care a lot of times.
Yeah. See, my oldest from about 3 to 6 had consistent night terrors. Yeah, so she would wake up. Well, she would wake up but not really be awake, like
Really be
bawling
awake.
and screaming for hours.
Yes.
And of course, I was always the one who sat with her.
Yeah.
Between that and the demands of keeping the apartment complexes running, and working full time while attending school mostly full time, and trying to work side gigs because I was also an active sponsored competitive shooter at the time, and was working side gigs and stuff to cover my expenses for ammo components,
Right.
and shooting 2 or 3 matches a month plus training on the side.
Yep.
In my early 30s, I look back at it and I go, I do not know how the hell I functioned, because I think I averaged 3 to 4 hours of sleep for
Look,
years.
if you can just keep moving, like the toddler thing of, I'm tired, I can't stop moving. If I stop moving, I fall asleep, and sleep is death. It doesn't really go away. You can keep going for a surprising length of time. The human body is amazingly robust, especially if you can add the minimum of actual rest. Uh, I don't know if you've met my buddy Sal.
I
Um,
have not.
Sal is a regular on the has been a regular on the convention scene for a long time. I actually met him through Howard Taylor at a Worldcon many years ago, and uh, we then got to be pretty good friends. And I miss the heck out of him. He's a great guy, but he literally knows everybody. But he has a rule for conventions, which is the 4-2-1 rule. Get 4 hours of sleep in any 24. Get 2 meals and take one shower. And that's how you survive conventions. Now, admittedly, I try to get closer to 8. And
Well, you've also
vacation,
taken the Davelings along with you, and
yeah,
when they were under 5 years old and at conventions. Now, on one hand, they kind of thrive because they're very peoply little people,
they are little people.
and they receive so much loving attention.
Well,
But on the other hand, if they do not get their sleep,
mm,
it was obvious.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if they need, they have to get their sleep. So you kind of had to get your sleep too.
Don't just get your own sleep, folks. Make sure your small creatures get theirs as well. It's actually more important for them than for you.
Yes. One of the things that we're constantly kind of pushing the teenagers on is trying to maintain good sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
Because, hey guys, guess what? You're more functional, and your anxiety and depression are better when you're sleeping regularly.
It's
and
true.
Also, if you're getting regular sleep, your migraine frequency is about 1/10 of what it is when you're not.
Yeah. I am fortunate that my migraines rarely involve a significant amount of pain. I get a lot of auras. I get a lot of muscle stiffness following, but I don't end up. I can count on one hand the number of migraines I've had where I ended up having to huddle in a very, very dark space for several hours.
I wish that were the case.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get lucky on that one. Like,
Yeah, I used to get the whole aura and nausea and severe pain.
Yeah.
We actually years ago found a prophylactic drug that cut my migraine frequency from 3 a week to a few times a year, and now I can entirely associate those with sleep deprivation or dehydration.
Yep.
But now, as long as I stay hydrated and I get a semi-sufficient amount of sleep, I don't get them. But for a while there, back, I think it was 2011, 2012, especially for a little while, I was working a call center job that started at 4 a.m. That was a 3 to 4 days a week thing, and they were completely debilitating. And my daughters both get very debilitating migraines, and the biggest thing that it can be associated to is 1, not sleeping enough, 2, not drinking enough water, and 3, not eating enough.
Weird.
Yes.
Yeah. Mine almost certainly have to do with that, and stress.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, stress is the other one. But of all of them, the other ones are the ones that you can intentionally manage pretty well. There's a lot of stressors that come from things that you don't have a whole lot of control over. And dealing with that has been one of the lessons of adulthood, of learning that there are things that I can affect and there are things that I cannot. And I need to focus my efforts on the things that I can affect. And the things that I can't, we deal with as much as we can, but we minimize the amount of anxiety and effort and fruitless effort that gets directed at those.
Yes, you can control inputs, not outcomes.
Yeah. So exercise yourself on the things that you can affect and try to let the things that are outside of your control go as much as possible, just to
Yep.
reduce the amount of stress on yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, sleep.
Get enough.
Actually, I know for a lot of people, sleep is the missing factor in achieving weight loss and fitness goals.
Yes.
Because sleep deprivation has serious effects on your endurance.
Your body uses sleep as the time to rebuild damaged tissues.
Yep.
That is where most of that happens. If you are not sleeping, and the magic number tends to be at 5 or more hours. If you are, which is to say, if you're not sleeping 5 hours or more, your body is not spending enough time rebuilding itself for you to stay healthy.
Yes, that's accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine you have some firsthand experience of that.
Yeah, it's weird when I end up in the hospital. Generally, the first 3 or 4 days, I do almost nothing but sleep. It's like, oh, hey, there's nothing else going on, and I'm pretty much stuck in this bed.
Okay.
And like during the day, I will fall asleep for hours repeatedly and sleep through the night. And then by about day 5 in the hospital is where I can't sleep anymore and I can't even fall asleep at night, which unfortunately I've done far too many hospital stays that were beyond where I was able to stay asleep.
That sucks. And it's not like you can just do laps until you fall asleep.
I've tried it. I tried it after my colectomy and I got yelled at because I walked 3 miles in one day.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, Huntsman Cancer Hospital, the way the inpatient wings are set up, every lap around the unit is 1/8 of a mile.
Okay, that makes it easy.
Yeah, so I could count. Tell him, yeah, I walked 3 miles yesterday. And my surgeon goes, you what? You're 3 days after having your entire colon and rectum removed. Why are you?
That's amazing.
Because you guys said I needed to walk, and I was bored, and I wasn't sleepy anymore, so I walked.
Wow.
You need to tone that back a little bit.
But we want you up and moving. We don't want you trying to do a marathon.
I wasn't trying to do a marathon. 3 miles is 3 miles a 5K or a little bit more.
It's something like that. Yeah, but this is the medical mindset of this is a thing that Sarah and I have had issues with, where we actually tend to follow the advice on how to take medicines and what to do for things, and then we say, yeah, I did this thing, and they're like, yeah, sure you did. No, really, I did. And we kind of get stared at with the, I'm sorry, you what? Because they're not used to it.
Yeah. Not used to people actually listening.
Because most people don't pay attention, they don't listen, and they don't follow instructions.
To their detriment. So I think we've covered sleep. We had two bits of news that we were going to touch on.
Yes.
Because the Sabaton's North America tour has been rescheduled for the fall. I'm going to see how many kids I can drag to that. There's part of me that really wants to try and drag the autistic kid along, because I think because that kid because well, I've done home and car audio for 25 years.
Yeah.
That kid will always select the seat that is closest to a subwoofer in the car. And
oh yes,
he
with proper hearing protection, he's gonna have a good time.
he wants to feel the music in his chest. He loves that feedback.
Yep.
Which is part of the reason that when I set up my theater setup downstairs, it's a 5.2.2 channel system. So I've
Mm.
got your standard center, two fronts, two rears, with the two upward firing Atmos speakers, and
Mm.
a pair of 800-watt 12-inch subwoofers.
Man, when I was a Callow youth, my best friend had an old Bronco, uh, and got a subwoofer installed over one of the wheel wells in the back. Uh, and this was basically, you have the two captain's chairs, and the rest of it is a truck.
Yeah, because it's a Bronco.
So we spent a lot of time that summer driving up to Bellingham from Grace Harbor, and blaring, among other things, Tupac, actually. Right? I know.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I have a JBL Power 12 subwoofer that has been installed in 8 successive vehicles now.
boom.
I mean, with the proper amplifier to this thing, and this is before JBL's quality went to crap. This was good JBL from like 20 shit. I think that thing's over 20 years old now. But when driven properly, that thing can move some air. I mean, we've got well, no, you've ridden in the van. So I've got
Mhm.
the Nissan NV 12 passenger van that has that in it.
Yep.
And with that volume of air, it's fantastic.
Oh, I bet.
Now, see, the problem for my son is he does not like being around people. And general admission concerts are nothing but being crammed in with people,
It's true.
which is what gives me apprehension, because he very well may just find himself completely overwhelmed and need to leave. And I've ever since I first saw them, I've been to every Sabaton tour of North America in the last 11 years.
Congratulations. This will be our first.
It will not be your last.
Probably.
I guarantee it.
Technically, this is actually a birthday present for my daughter, because when she was 3 or 4, I was listening to a lot of Sabaton, and she asked if we could go to their house.
that
See,
that sounds like her.
Brian laughs, but he laughs because if anybody could manage it, it's probably my daughter.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it will be entertaining.
I genuinely hope that she never learns to use her powers of cuteness and persuasion for evil.
No, we have told her she's not allowed to use it for evil, just for awesome.
Because she could be a
Terrifying.
supervillain.
Yes. Yeah.
No, it will not. It will not be your last concert that you take them to. But I know that should he get overwhelmed and need to leave,
Mm.
I would certainly feel resentful.
Yeah, and that would be tough.
Yes,
That
it would be, because for me, music is one of the primary ways I learned like emotional regulation and like to actually feel things. And so it's still a huge part of like how I process how I feel. And
Yeah.
so a good concert is one of the few times or places you'll actually see me able to let go and be entirely in the moment.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
And not all concerts will do that. It takes a good performance that has some meaning for me. Sabaton does that really, really well.
Their lyrics are sometimes there's sometimes a little bit of artistic license in there.
Oh, of course.
But
It's not a history documentary.
no, they do those on their other YouTube channel, which, gentle viewers, if you have not checked out, you got to check out the Sabaton plus history
Yes.
stuff.
The Sabaton History channel is fantastic.
Sabaton History channel is fantastic, as well as their historians channel on World War One.
Oh yes, Time Ghost
and following. Oh my gosh, that stuff is amazing.
I have kept myself away from it because I would get possibly too invested.
That's
to my
fair.
detriment.
That's fair.
Because he did the day by day World War One for 5 years.
They did it at the 100-year anniversary of them. They did it 2014,
yes.
2018. But they've also kept going into the interwar period, which I haven't looked into because I want to share that with the kids as part of their homeschooling.
Yeah. I mean, I have actually intentionally avoided it because I've watched a few episodes here and there and going, I would really like to watch this sequentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the multi-month binge watch from hell that would have serious effects on my productivity.
Well, which means you have to set up a system for it. Something like we are watching this for an hour or two a day because we all have things to do and we can't do it anymore, and we only watch it with each other, and if we're not there, we don't do it. And that might work.
Maybe. It might be. Don't give me ideas, Dave. I'm trying to control myself here.
Dude. Yeah, I know, but you got to share the good stuff.
It's true. Which the other thing, things going on with Nathan Fillion.
Yes.
We know now that at minimum, Summer Glau is involved. Morena Baccarin's involved. Jewel State is involved, and Gina Torres is involved.
Yes.
With some sort of announcement coming out March 15th on what I sincerely hope is going to be a revival of Firefly some 20 years after Fox did what Fox does and canceled it.
My understanding is the actor who played Simon Tam is also involved, but have not heard anything related to Adam Baldwin or Alan Tudyk. But I've also seen reboot thrown about, and it strikes me that the crew of them would keep things under wraps sufficiently if there was the kind of surprise that would really set their fandom ablaze. I don't know. I don't track these things. I have run into them.
I don't, but after so many false starts and rumors,
yep,
I may be upset at a reboot.
I see. I've seen the word tossed in there. I don't know.
I would like to. I would like to see a continuation.
Right.
Some decades after Serenity, which means Alan Tudyk's not going to be involved. And from what I've heard and from what I've seen reported, Adam Baldwin is not going to be involved.
As disappointing as that would be, I can also completely understand it. From a character standpoint, I don't imagine Jane would survive.
I don't think that he would. I don't think that he would stick around with the same people for decades.
Yes,
and I haven't kept up on what Adam's doing, but I haven't seen him do much of anything since he did the audiobooks for Tom Stranger.
I have no idea.
I think he may have been blacklisted in
That
most of Hollywood.
that frankly would not surprise me. As an outspoken conservative, he doesn't care about the opinions of the people who would be hiring him.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but so we have. Let's see. It is the 5th.
Yep,
10 days. There is
more
some
days.
announcement related to Firefly,
Yep,
which, if it is not the best, it is in the top 5 best sci-fi TV series that have ever aired.
and astonishingly, they filmed for like 5 months.
Yes,
That's it. It's a relatively short time,
our libertarian space cowboy fantasy
right?
set in an actual believable universe
Yes.
of a human diaspora from Earth.
Hmm.
Okay, since the Navy trained you in Mandarin,
Oh, their accents are unintelligible.
okay, aside from that obvious bit, because white people never learn Chinese accents well, how bad was the usage?
The usage was pretty accurate for everything they used. They mostly used swear words. In English, we swear words have a different weight. In
Mm-hmm.
Chinese, a lot of bodily function kind of stuff that is to the Western mindset not terribly insulting. It's like, well, okay, but you got anything like actually bad? You
Yeah,
you
it
have
require
other.
understanding cursing requires cultural context.
Mm-hmm.
Saying this, having worked with, well, having achieved fluency with a couple of foreign languages and having worked with a whole bunch of others before they got erased out of my brain by a blow to the head.
Yeah.
Yes, understanding swearing in foreign languages requires cultural context, or else you're like, that's an insult? Really?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I hope they dig deeper into it for a whatever they're doing. Just because I find Chinese culture and history fascinating.
There's a lot of it.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of it we don't really have any clue about. The communist purge of Chinese history is only the most recent one.
Yeah, it was not the first.
The first that we know of was was Qing Shi Huangdi, the first Qin emperor, and he. If anybody's ever seen Hero with Jet Li, that's that
Okay.
the emperor he's meeting is that emperor, and we know the man killed scholars by the thousands because he understood that in order to control people, you had to control what they learned.
Yep.
And so he allowed no competing philosophies in his empire.
Yeah.
And then his son or grandson was a waste of air and let the whole thing fall apart anyway. So there you go. Good times.
Yeah. So I think we covered enough with sleep and
Get more sleep, better
joys
sleep.
of toddlers. Don't have a toddler in your 40s. That's my recommendation. I put it to practice. Oh, that's going to mess up my files now.
Yeah.
Oh well. Editing's going to take a little bit longer.
That's all right.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Don't have a toddler in your 40s. If you have a toddler in your 40s, eat well, sleep as well as you can, and exercise a hell of a lot. Get And by a hell of a lot, I mean be consistent.
Yes.
Um, if everything else is going well, then you can survive that. I'm doing okay. Stress is not my favorite.
No, but most of your immediate stressors should be falling by the wayside in the coming
Yes.
months. We hope.
Amen.
Let's hope and pray for a year or two of no disasters for Dave and Mrs. Dave.
Oh, you know,
Let's not have all of our stuff stolen while in transit. Let's not have to move. Let's not have the house get flooded out or burned down.
no family deaths, no
Organ transplants, any of that jazz.
significant car accidents. We'll try to avoid all of that.
Yeah, let's hope. And if not, then you will weather as you always do and emerge more triumphant than you think you are.
You know, it's resilience is built through adversity. And we have experienced a hell of a lot of adversity in the last several years.
Yeah, the last 5 years have been rough for
Yeah.
you guys.
Yep.
But so let's go ahead and wrap that one up. Let's let Dave go to bed since he's not being used as a jungle gym by his youngest
It's
spawnling.
true.
Or the dog
Or
now.
the dog. Yep. She has settled for the evening, which is good. I would like to do so as well.
Yep. So everybody, we thank you for joining us live, and for those of you who are watching our videos after the fact or listening to the audio podcast that is distributed all over the place. Please find us on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like and follow so that we can get to where we can go live on those platforms as well. Because Instagram requires that we have 1,000 followers. Facebook requires that we be around for 60 days, which we're actually approaching, and have at least 100 followers.
Wow. That's
Which I think right now we have 14. But I'm doing my part in pulling hopefully the more entertaining clips out of our shows, and those are getting posted around on a daily basis to hopefully drive some engagement and recognition. But we'd really appreciate it if y'all would follow us there. You can always hit our website, which is www.unhingeddadspod.com, for character bios and the ability to yell at us via email if you need long form text. And otherwise, we're going to go to bed because we're old.
Yep, I have to feed my sourdough starter. I'm one of those people.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to hit the outro, and we will catch all you guys next Thursday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time.
Take care, y'all.
All right, that is it for tonight's episode. Thank you for joining us. Quick reminder, all opinions expressed here are solely those of the individual speakers, hosts, and guests alike, and do not represent the views of any affiliated person, organization, company, sponsor, or other entity. This show is provided for entertainment purposes only. Nothing discussed is professional advice of any kind. Always consult a qualified professional and use your own best judgment before acting on anything we've talked about. Again, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.